permiso, buenas tardes. Hi, everybody. Welcome again to the webinars. It's a pleasure for me, Andres Rodriguez, to be with you, to invite you, and you can come with us and see these webinars, no? The ones that inspire and support, no? English language instructors and everybody who wants to learn different things, no? Different things in order to improve your teaching philosophy, new things that are necessary to move forward, no, in order to improve our academic profile. So tonight, I say tonight because in Thailand it's a little bit late. Professor David, welcome to this presentation. It's an honor for us that you accept this invitation. How are you, Professor?
Sure. Oh, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much, Professor. So I say hello to Amer and other friends who are connected now. Okay, so we have a very interesting topic today, and Professor, he prefers the interaction. You know? So it doesn't matter if you have Professor, if they have any question, they can raise their hand. You prefer they interact with you, okay?
Yeah, sure, of course.
So feel free and comfortable to interact, no? So you want to raise your hand, or I don't know, maybe write a comment in the chat box. I can read for you, no problem, no? So the interaction is very important. Or if you rather prefer asking questions until the end, it's okay, no problem. Welcome to our friends, and we are going to start now. Professor, the share screen is ready if you want to share your slides, no?
Yes. Okay. Very good. Share. All right. Great. So I know I was given ample time, but the thing is, sometimes people talk too much, and I don't like to talk too much. So, okay. Well, my presentation is about career and technical education. Now, we know career and technical education, CTE. It's often referred to as vocational education. In the 1970s and 80s, it was referred to as trade schools. Well, I would like to look at CTE a little differently. Now, when we look at the global economy or the global workforce, or when we look at the needs of international companies, we see that academia, tertiary education, is not answering the needs. So today I'm going to present a little bit about CTE and how CTE can be mixed in with tertiary education to sort of bridge that gap of the need of international companies and what tertiary education is not really providing. So I like this quote from Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey says, "Education is the way to move mountains, to build bridges, to change the world." Now, whether you agree with Oprah Winfrey or not, Oprah does have a point here. Without education, without knowledge, we tend to be easily misled, easily confused, and we tend to not have a real purpose in life, or we tend to not have goals. So education is so important. I tell my students, you should read outside of your field. You should do wide reading. You should learn as much as you can, as quickly as you can, always. So this is a little bit about me. I am the English language specialist with the #1 institute in Asia, the Institute for Population and Social Research at Mahidol University in Thailand. IPSR, the Institute for Population and Social Research, does research on just about any social topic you can imagine. I am the English language specialist, so my research revolves around foreign language anxiety, teacher education, using English for specific purposes. I do research about language culture, education culture. I do a lot of research into the education language realm. So I'm also the journal manager and copy editor for a Q2 Scopus indexed journal, the Journal of Population and Social Studies. And we publish articles, social science articles, any articles about population or anything dealing with health, or just anything that revolves around social science or studies of societies or social studies. And I've been doing this a long time. I have been teaching English for more than what I care to admit. And I'm just about to finish a Ph.D. in applied linguistics for English language teaching. So even at my age, 50 years old, I'm not stopping. I can't, When you stop, you die. The knowledge within you just does not increase. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about CTE, like I mentioned before. And CTE, sometimes viewed as vocational education, is technical and occupational knowledge and skills and core academic knowledge that are just mixed together, right? Now, when you look at career and technical education programs, most people believe, or most people think, that the only students who attend CTE programs are the less than privileged, maybe the not so well behaved, or those who could not hack it or could not handle the academic atmosphere of tertiary education. But the truth is, tertiary education has a history of being very theoretical and not so practical. And CTE programs are very practical and less theoretical. So my idea is, why not mix? Why not have a true academic program that focuses a large portion of the program on the practical aspect? I think that makes a lot of sense. But tertiary education has been the same way for a long time, and when you try to tell universities, hey, you're really not preparing graduates for the real world, they tend to get upset. So now, I mentioned earlier that international companies, that they're looking for qualified people, trained people who have knowledge and understanding and language skills, who can work in an international environment and a global workforce environment, that these people can work without having to be micromanaged. International companies, they want to hire people who are competent in all aspects. They don't want to babysit, okay? And these high demand career options, these high demand careers, they're not being filled. So I think, I don't know, I'm sorry, I think very practically. I think, okay, Thailand, 67 million people. 67 million people. In Indonesia, our close neighbor, 275 million people. But yet the only country in this whole part of the world that really sends out people is the Philippines. Why? Well, the education system in the Philippines is not as good as some other countries, but the people understand that they apply themselves in careers that can give them access to other countries. Healthcare, education. The Philippines has 11 million overseas foreign workers, and a large portion of those workers are healthcare workers. They are domestic workers. They are teachers, educators. Those are the careers that can carry someone from a developing country to a developed country, to where you can go from making $50 to $300 per month in your developing country to making $3,000 or $4,000 per month in a developed country. Right now I have Filipino friends who teach mathematics in the United States, and they are making 20 times the income that in the US than they could make in their own country. And yes, the cost of living, blah, blah. No. The cost of living is not much different than Bangkok. Believe me on that. It's not much different than Manila. Most people in this, 20 times, really. Most people in this region, in Bangkok, they spend 70 to 80% of their monthly income on surviving. Rent, my goodness, rent in Bangkok is nearly 50% of your income. Now, in the United States, like I told you, my Filipino friends, they're making $3,000, $3,500 per month teaching mathematics. And they spend 40% of their income, 50% of their income to survive. 50%. I'm talking about rent, food, transportation. People think that, the cost of living, No, it's not as bad as what you think. So with these high demand career options, if you can be developed, if you can be a member of a developing country, and you can be developed and help to be created or conformed into a worthy adversary for the international competition. Worthy adversary. I like that word. If someone can be prepared, if they can be trained, it's the endless possibilities. So now, CTE programs, they really do help connect students to these high skill, high demand fields. And if you see, I put math in this slide right here. Math. Why? Well, a little secret. My wife,
Sorry. Okay, Professor.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So, my wife is a math teacher. Yes, she teaches mathematics in one of the top high schools in our education area. And my wife speaks Thai, obviously, and she speaks English at a B2 level, and she speaks French at an A2 level, soon to be at a B1 level. So my wife is teaching mathematics in Thai, English, and French. So math teachers are not as common in this world as English teachers. So my wife is more valuable than me. Well, of course, I mean, she's more valuable to me than me, but in the world of education, she is a math teacher, and she is a very good math teacher, and she cares for her students, and she puts her students first, and she uses real world examples to teach abstract mathematics concepts. So she's really good at what she does. And she was offered a job in the US, and I am not exaggerating, $5,000 per month. $5,000 to teach mathematics. And me, $4,000. That is what I was offered. She was offered more money than me because her subject is in more demand. So she would like to move to the United States, or she would like to move to Canada. I think Canada might be better. But, you know, if she moves, you know, she can go from making her a reasonable salary here to just making so much more. And the cost of living, you know, the food, the existence there's not that much difference. Like I said, living in a big city, it's just so expensive. Everything is expensive. So these CTE programs, they give people opportunities to go to other parts of the world and just make so much more money, and to save and prepare for their retirement and their future. So why are people not taking advantage of these different fields that need people? Why are universities not really focusing on these particular fields? Well, because universities, like I said, they're very theoretical based. They're not very practical based. So I propose, every time I speak with president, dean, directors of schools and universities, I tell them the same thing. Less theory, more practicum, and focus on what the industries need. I think that makes a lot of sense. The Association for Career and Technical Education, they use these fields right here, and the ACTE said that these fields are the most, they have the most need. So when I look at these fields, I think, well, my university teaches in all these different fields. So why are people not prepared? Well, the universities are just focused on a different point. Now, I want to just quickly look at the 16 career cultures, the 16 clusters, the 16 career clusters, just very, very quickly. And I find that these career clusters are, universities can prepare people for these careers. Like marketing, most universities has some sort of marketing faculty. They have some sort of hospitality and tourism, or some sort of aircraft, airline management, and most universities do have some sort of business management, business administration. You know, they teach the BBA, the Bachelor of Business Administration, or the MBAs or the DBAs. They teach all these programs. So it's very simple. It's very simple for universities just to combine a little bit of the CTE mindset or the CTE focus to help people be prepared for these industries. And finance. You know, I am the advisor for many CEOs and business managers, and I spend a lot of time, around interns, university students who work at different companies for 3 to 4 months to get some sort of experience. And I hear the same, I guess, the same comments from every industry, every business that has interns. I hear the same thing. When I ask, oh, what do the interns do? The interns, they make copies, they get coffee, they play games on their phones. Well, that's not preparing the future leaders of our society. Well, the companies tell me the interns, the university interns, they lack this and this and this. They lack personal responsibility. They lack basic skills to do basic jobs in companies. And whose job is it to prepare these university students? The universities. So, okay, it might seem that I am picking on the universities, but let me tell you, I am not joking. I'm really not joking. For a Ph.D. in Thailand, for a Ph.D. in Thailand, it's nearly the equivalent to $30,000. $30,000 just for tuition. $30,000. Absolutely. And that's from one of the upper echelon universities in Thailand. The equivalent of $30,000. Let that sink in a little bit. You know, universities in the UK, or universities in the US, $30,000 is still a lot of money. But compared to a developing Asian country, $30,000 is a fortune. I mean, my goodness, a car, you can buy a car, you can buy a third of a house, you know, still, my goodness, $30,000. And the universities are not preparing people for these industries. You know, the agriculture, food, and natural resources industries, these industries should be catered to by universities. And I found that universities are really not as hands-on as what they should be. And when I speak to education leaders, education leaders tell me that they want to create international CTE programs. You know, international, where in the education facility, English is the primary language. There's also other courses taught in other lingua francas like Chinese, Mandarin, courses taught in French or Spanish, languages that are widely used around the world. But there's not much interest from the public because, like I said, the CTE programs, they have sort of a negative association. But I think if the tertiary institutions could mix some CTE programs, I think that would be better for everyone. And again, like communication arts or information technology, the IT arena is just massive. You know, universities should be putting a lot of money into communication arts and information technology. Communication arts is sort of a dying breed. Sure, communication arts, when we're talking about web development or digital communications. But things have become so easy now that just about anyone can develop a website. You know, go to GoDaddy. My website's far from GoDaddy. GoDaddy has templates. I just copy and paste, and they look nice. But information technology is something that universities should really be focused on, because information technology, that's jobs for the next decade at least. Now, there are other skilled and technical sciences that universities might not be able to handle. There are some aspects here. There are some fields here that CTE programs are very well suited for some of these fields. But again, there are some that universities would be better suited if the universities would have more of a CTE feel or more of a CTE focus, let's say that. So now, next, the health sciences. And now these health sciences, we're not talking about medical doctors here, okay? We're talking about the people who run the services. Like for instance, a friend of mine, he is a radiologist, and oh my goodness, he makes so much money. And if he would go to a developed country, he would make just my goodness, a small fortune. And he was trained through a CTE program. And I think that was great for him. And the CTE programs, I believe he only spent the equivalent of about $10,000, for his whole program. And oh yeah, he made that back very quickly. So now these other programs, these human sciences and education programs. Now these programs are very well taught in universities, but they could be so much better taught if these universities would have more of a CTE focus. Like I said, a little less theoretical and a lot more practical would do well with these university programs. Now, look, I'm not saying every university, I mean, please don't get me wrong. I'm speaking in generalities, okay? I'm not speaking in specifics, because I do know some universities that they teach law or legal services, and they actually have courtrooms or mock courtrooms inside the university. So the students who learn law, they get to practice. So, but other things like law enforcement services or paralegal services, these things are done through CTE programs. A law enforcement officer, they might not do a 4-year program. They just might do a 2-year program. If they do a 4-year program, they will go to a university. But if they want a 2-year program, they will go to a CTE program. Now, education and training, the teaching and training, well, universities, that's their job. You know, you need a 4-year degree or a 4-year degree and 1-year practicum to get a teaching license in Thailand. And you must have a 1-year education degree or 26 credits in education. 24 credits in education to get a teaching license. And, you know, that would be difficult for CTE programs, but I find when students graduate from these universities, or when students finish their 4th year of education and they enter into their 1-year teacher practicum, they're not prepared. There are some universities in Southeast Asia that when the students finish their 4 years of theoretical education and they go into their 1-year student teacher or pre-teaching program, the schools return them to the universities. The schools are saying, look, these people are not ready. You're sending these students here to do teacher training programs or teacher education programs, and they lack the foundation. They just lack the foundation. You know, they're not service-minded, they're not student-focused, and they're just lecturing. They're not really getting the students involved. They're not allowing the students to be semi-autonomous, and they're just not surviving. So, you know, I told you before when I first started that to exist in an international environment or an international community, students, they need to have some sort of qualifications. They need to have a background. They need experience. And just as equally, they need English proficiency. Now, I'm sorry, but 80% of the world's knowledge is in English. To access the majority of the world's knowledge, you need to have a high enough proficiency in English to be able to comprehend the language. And you can go to just about any country in the world, and use English. And there's going to be someone there who will demand that you use English if you're working for an international company. So without a reasonably high English proficiency level, you sort of limit yourself and you create barriers. So as teachers, especially teachers of English, that is one of our primary directives. Yeah, I'm using the word directives. I watched a Star Trek episode earlier, so that is my directive. So to assimilate my students into the English language. So now, and we can help students. We can help students assimilate into the org. Okay, that's a reference. You guys might be a little too young for that, but resistance is futile. You shall be assimilated. And if you want students to be assimilated, if you want students to become very comfortable users of English, you need to be quiet. As a teacher, you need to be quiet. You need to allow for more student talk. Oh, but David, my students don't want to talk. Why not? Well, they're shy. Okay, what can you do as the teacher to help them? What can you do to help reduce that anxiety? What can you do to be an example? What can you do? What can you do? See, yes. Students are lazy all over the world. Students lack responsibility. Students don't want to do homework, and students blame the teacher for their grades. We all know that. That's the same old story. But teachers do have the power. Teachers do have the power to make the learning environment more suitable for the students. And, you know, I tell all teachers, look, if you model the language, if you help the students, if you use different pedagogies to help ensure equal participation among all the learners, and yes, strategic grouping. When students make groups, they always make groups with their friends. Well, I sort of interrupt their groups. I place the students in strategic groups sometimes if there is a certain purpose we need to accomplish. And, you know, always, I don't care where I am, I don't care what country I'm in, I don't care what is the first language of the students. I tell them, okay, this is an English class. I would prefer if you would speak as much English as possible, but I'm not going to demand. you need to discuss things in your first language. You do. And I tell them all the time, look, when you discuss in your first language, when you clearly understand what you're talking about, switch back to English so I can be a part of the conversation. I think that's fair. But I would never demand, never demand, you always have to speak English, blah, blah, blah. No. Teachers who do that, yeah, I worry. Now, explicit instructions. Sometimes teachers, they sort of kind of fail to give the clear instructions, especially with students who have low English abilities, or low English ability, sorry. So when I give instruction to students who have very low English ability, I try to, well, in face-to-face classes, I verbally give instructions, plus I write some of the instructions on the whiteboard. That way the students can listen to me, and they can also read some notes I put on the whiteboard. And I always give descriptive feedback. I do. I don't know, I'm one of the teachers that I don't like the red pen. I don't like marking everything that's wrong. My goodness. Because when I give back a writing assignment to a student and it's full of red marks, that student doesn't look at it because that hurts them. Think about it. When you just write red marks all over a student's paper, or you correct everything that's wrong, you make the student feel that they haven't accomplished anything. What I do, I just go through their paper and I just kind of write little notes. I'm not sure what you're talking about here. Can you explain this? The topic does not progress very smoothly from this paragraph to this paragraph. Can you edit? That's what I do. And, I have some local teachers tell me, oh no, you need to mark every grammar error, oh, come on, really? Look, even, I tell these teachers, I said, you have been teaching English for 20 years. You are an English lecturer. Let me correct your writing and let's see how you feel. Well, the truth is, if I give clear, explicit instruction, and if I make the student comfortable, and if I model what I expect them to accomplish, they're fine. It reduces the anxiety. And if I give descriptive feedback in a very uplifting, positive way, the students really appreciate their classes. And yes, rigorous, appropriate content. This presentation is about bridging the gap between tertiary education and the real world, and bridging that gap by incorporating some CTE into those programs. And what I'm telling you now is just ways that the teachers can help communicate. The teachers can help students feel more comfortable in learning. And, you need rigorous, appropriate content. Don't be afraid of giving too much to your students. If it's too much, they will tell you. But I always give appropriate content. And I don't give a lot, like a large amount, but I do give a fair amount, but it's always pertaining to what they need to accomplish their goals in this particular topic, this particular subject. And I really do. I have the students connect their personal experiences and prior knowledge, and we build upon what they already know and what they already experienced. Look, when you start from an empty glass, it takes a lot of time to fill that glass. I always try to start from some personal experiences or some prior knowledge or some background knowledge that the students already have, and then build from there. It saves a lot of time, a lot of time. And you know, I'm always exposing my students to important ideas and how to review and summarize main points. Because you know, the thing is, if our students do not know how to summarize ideas, if they do not know how to review an idea and get to the point, they will never survive in the real world. Because the truth is, we teach them how to write the 5-paragraph essay. Yes, the 5-paragraph essay, a minimum word count. But you know, in the real world, everyone says, "Oh, just give me 1 page or just 1 paragraph. I don't want you to read too much. Just get to the point." So when I teach my students how to write emails, how to write business proposals, we do a 1-page business proposal, maximum 3 pages. And a lot of that is going to be some sort of graph or pie charts. Absolutely. No one wants to read 20 pages of something that doesn't matter. Get to the point, give me some bullet points. If I have questions, I will ask you. Other than that, look, and this is appropriate content. This is how to survive in the real world. And yes, I use so many visual resources. Now, you know, with you guys here right now, I am using less because the purpose of my presentation is different. But I use Realia. I use real everyday objects and material as teaching aids. I do. My goodness. Well, when I do Zoom, when I do Zoom classes or WebEx classes, we have a lot of pictures, a lot of video, a lot. And I'm always using things that do not require me to explain a lot. What I mean is, if I show a picture and that picture has action or some sort of presentation of emotion, that picture accomplishes more than what I could. I can explain for an hour, and I will never help my students feel what they feel from one picture. Now, the learning environment, yes. If I want to help my students bridge the gap from the theoretical tertiary to the more practical CTE and the real world, I need to create a learning environment that is safe, that is encouraging, that is enthusiastic. You know, I'm not exaggerating. Daily, for real, daily. I get a lot of contacts, emails, messages on the different WhatsApp, Line, Messenger, whatever, from students asking me how they can help their teacher. From students asking me how they can help their teacher. Help what? Well, the teacher talks for 3 hours. The teacher lectures for 3 hours. There's not any interaction. So, now, the perfect place to learn. CTE classrooms are tertiary classrooms with a CTE focus. It's the best place to learn, because these learning environments, they do provide hands-on training. They do provide hands-on real-world practical study. And look, you know, when students are using technical language, when they are doing things that are focused on their field of study that can give them a competitive edge in the global economy, that's the perfect education environment. So students, students need technical skills, academic skills, and employability skills. They need these three type of skills to survive. Because look, I can tell you right now, on this side of the world, South Korea, Japan, if you understand a little bit of history from World War II and the Korean War, you will understand how far South Korea and how far Japan has come in just a very short time. Japan was annihilated in World War II. And, from 1945 until now, Japan has become the number one automaker in the world, the number one auto producing country in the world. And when people say, oh, this item was made in Japan, there's an automatic sense of comfort, security. Oh, well, this is a good quality item. And with some countries, when you say, oh, this item was made in this country, there's an automatic sense of dread. Oh, I don't want that item. Because these countries, South Korea and Japan, they have always focused, or have, well, since they were decimated, they have focused on technical skills, academic skills, and employability skills. And they have sent people all over the world, and they have become the leading automobile manufacturers, the leading tech, the leading electronic manufacturers in the world, because they provide these three skills to their people in tertiary education and in CTE programs. So now, if any of you would like to read a little bit, get some more information about my presentation, I took most of my presentation from this book right here, Teaching English Language Learners in Career and Technical Education Programs. This is a very, very good book. They have PDF or e-books available online. They're not very expensive. They're quite cheap. Or I'm not telling you, you might be able to find a free version. But I'm not saying that. So if you have more questions, I suggest this book right here. So this is me. I have been yammering on for 45 minutes, and I don't do Facebook. I use Messenger, but I don't have any social media presence much. Social media tends to waste a lot of time, and I don't have a lot of time to waste. So if you want to contact me, you can contact me on Messenger. Just type in my name or WhatsApp. Just scan the QR code, and I would love to converse with you. We can have dialogue about anything you want, anything about education, culture, teacher education, whatever you want. Just contact me. Okay, I'm stopping sharing.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Thank you so much, dear professor, for your intervention now. I'm wondering if some of you teachers would like to make a comment, say something, or ask any question. Well, professor, let me ask you a comment about your. There's a specific point that I believe, and I'm sure that my partners were thinking about it. But I will ask you something, Professor. In your experience, when you mentioned, Professor, that language teachers, when they explain the language, in this case, English, So according to Stephen Krashen, so we read the hypothesis, the monitoring theories, So in one says that the learners acquire naturally, so that we can speak, as it were the mother tongue or the second language, in order to help to support learners to learn the language. But what happened with some educators, that they say that we have to speak English every moment, a full time, 100%. No, so I have a confusion with that because I heard that some people say that it's necessary to speak 100% in English, and I occasionally heard that it's important to combine both. No, partially, not partially, but most of the time English, and in some circumstances the mother tongue. Can you clarify that part, please?
Yeah, sure. You know, there's a when you speak about Krashen's theories, Krashen's theories have been debunked many times. Okay, but as the let's say entry level teachers, you know, maybe bachelor level teachers or beginning master's level teachers, we are going to focus very strongly on Krashen's theories, in which his theories make sense. They really do. But the monitor theory or his other acquisition theories, some teachers take those to an extreme. Okay? Take those to an extreme. Now, what is your first language? Can you tell me?
It's a Spanish.
Spanish, right? Okay. Now we are having this conversation in English, and I did all my presentation in English. Now you are a high level English user, but do you think you could really handle all day, every day using English?
Well, honestly speaking, in a non-native country, I don't think so, because for survival circumstances, we need to use our mother tongue. But
that's it.
Exactly. I'm not completely sure. Maybe if I'm living in the States or another place where English is spoken.
You know, look, I can tell you this. If you force your students, and I am using the word force, if you force your students to be in a 100% English environment, they can't do that. You know, you would cause such a significant amount of cognitive loading that the students would not be able to even rationalize what is going on. They would be so consumed with fear and anxiety, and they would only be focusing on grammar structure, or just they would focus on the vocabulary that they don't know. And that's horrible. That's such a horrible learning environment. The majority of English, okay, fine. You know, if you want to use whatever percentage you want to use, 60%, 75%, whatever. I am okay with that, but my goodness, not 100% English all the time. That's tragic.
Thank you, Professor. I think you clarified that point, because it was necessary to reinforce that idea that we strongly believe, and we have exaggerated a little bit in that.
You know, look. You know, everything I just told you is, look, I have all this on my desk, and these questions you ask, I am writing a chapter for a book to be published by Springer, and the chapter is about English medium instruction in Thailand, and these points that I just told to you is what I'm putting in my chapter.
All right.
So
awesome. Good.
Thank you.
It was a great presentation, David. I was part of your presentation, and I was also giving my presentation on proactiveness. So simultaneously, but really good, really good. You know, kudos to you, Andres, once again. Great presentation. Great speaker on the dot. So kudos, great presentation you did. Fantastic, really good.
Thank you so much, Edward. That's the idea, that we can contribute with some ideas or questions you may. You know.
Well, I looked at the education first, the English proficiency index, and most of South America and most of the southern part of North America, the English proficiency index is just as low as it is here. It's low, very low. The GDP is the same level. So, like I mentioned before, your experiences in your country are not that much different from the experiences in Southeast Asia and some parts of Western Asia. So, we have the same issues. We really do.
Yes, I see that point, Professor. So, with many people who have the opportunity to speak about this topic, they say exactly the same, that when they use English, they don't use totally and 100%. They use partially their mother tongue, especially because they need to for survival, for community, for
Sure.
communication.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in the classroom. Teachers who feel that they must use 100% English in the English language classrooms, they're doing a disservice. They really are. They are neglecting the students. They are neglecting the students' culture, language, heritage. Look, if I worked in Peru, I would use Spanish sometimes. Of course, why not? I use Thai sometimes with my students here, and not a lot. I use about 10% Thai, because there's some vocabulary in English that does not exactly translate to other languages. So, I use vocabulary specific to their culture. If I need to make a point about emotions or feelings or habits, yeah, why not? Make the students feel comfortable, make them enjoy learning, and make them feel empowered. So,
True. So sometimes it is necessary to use L2, in the classroom. Now, in my earlier years, like the first 10 years of teaching, I would have thought that the direct method is the one that's precise. 100% go in, completely speak L1. That's it, and keep L2 in my pockets. But as the times have gone by, what you say is correct. There are certain things, David, and everyone else, that you cannot translate them. They need to be said in that their native language, Spanish, Portuguese, German, whichever it is. That's what I can say about this matter here.
Sure, very good. Yeah, and Peter Medjish wrote the book The Non-Native Teacher in the mid-90s, 94, I think. And Peter Medjish said that the best language teachers, whether native or non-native, the best language teachers are those who have learned a second language, and those who are qualified and educated and trained. So those who have learned a second language, the non-native speaker who teaches English, as long as they're qualified, educated, and trained, they're great. But the native English speaker, if they can speak a second language or more than one language, then they are as equally valuable as the non-native. Again, a non-native English speaker who has a high proficiency in English and they are qualified and educated, they are the absolute best English teachers in the world. The native English speakers who can only speak English, yeah, I wouldn't hire them. I really wouldn't. You know, I want to hire someone who has experience in learning a second language, someone who can reasonably have a conversation in a second language. I want those people teaching my students. So, yeah, that's so when you ask about 100% English, look, if that teacher cannot handle, if that teacher has not learned a second language and they're the best native English speaker, they're not going to be the best teacher because they don't know how it is to learn a second language. So they're going to expect things that are unrealistic. You know, like Mr. Awesome said, you know, in the beginning of my teaching career, I was always, yes, 100% English, and I'm a native English speaker, blah. I was so stupid. You know, I was ignorant. But now, after, you know, now after all these years, I concede when there is an equally qualified Filipino, I just walk away. Let them have that job because they're much better teacher. I don't want to say better, but they're more suited. So, but now, I mean, now, you know, now I speak Thai fairly well. I have a good command of Spanish and French, Filipino, and Indonesian. So now I rank right up there with some of the best non-native English speakers. So yeah, Amir knows. Yeah, like Amir's friend, Christina. Yeah, Christina is she from Mexico City?
Yes, sir. I'm from Jalisco.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and Christina, Spanish is her first language. English is her second language. And my goodness, she is a high functioning English user, and she is an amazing teacher. So, you know, I look at teachers like Christina, and I look at teachers like you guys here. You know, 10 years ago, I thought I was better because I was the native English speaker and I had this degree and this degree. Now I realize we're all the same. We're not better, we're not worse. We should be judged on our qualifications, experience, and language proficiency. And that's what I'm writing in my chapter. So
sounds great, Professor, that you clarify that point also, because well, sometimes many teachers in some countries we discuss about that, who is better, the non-native speaker who is high qualified, or the one who is a native speaker and just he knows his foreign language, So there were some points, pros and cons about it, but I was completely sure what you really said, because I already read about it, Professor, and thank you so much, because you already give solid arguments to consolidate and defend that idea, no?
Oh yeah, well, this is all I do every day. Every day, all day. That's all I do. So, okay. Do we have other speakers?
Yeah, Professor, I'm reading some comments here. Everybody say thank you. Okay, good point. The people agree. Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Austin said take notes about it. Yes, I completely agree with that, because we have learned different new ideas about it. No, the other partners, you have any question?
I put the QR code to my WhatsApp in the chat box. So if someone wants to contact me, just scan the QR code and you can contact me on WhatsApp. I would love to chat further with you, and I would love to be invited to visit your university. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor, for your participation, and also because I think it was not a simple lecture. It was more than that. It was interaction, and I think that teachers were also focus on your slides, your theory. So I think we have learned so much in this morning. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much, dear teachers, colleagues, for being here. So it's good that we are learning more and more, in order to improve our teaching styles, our philosophy, and also say thank you to Mr. Professor David, for your contribution, and my best wishes for your professional convictions, Professor. Your publishments, your career, and everything you're going to do.
Thank you, my friend. And I'm always here for you. Just let me know how I can serve you.
All right.
Thank
Great.
you so
Right on.
much.
Right on. Great.
Okay, I'm tired. it's
Aren't we all?
I understand.
It's Saturday here.
No, we understand because it's a little bit late in Thailand now. No,
It's Sunday.
it's Sunday.
Well, in Thailand it's Sunday, but here it's Saturday.
Early in the
So
morning. Yeah.
It's
It's
Saturday.
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 noon. Saturday noon right now, David. So
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
it's
There are many
it's-
people who are having breakfast right now.
having breakfast like this. Lunch.
Thank you
Okay,
so
well,
much. Thank you so
all
much,
right.
everybody, for being
Thanks.
here. And we're going to wait for you for the next presentation. My best wishes for you in this day. Have a nice Saturday and have a nice Sunday, Professor.
Okay. Bye-bye.
See you next
Bye-bye,
time.
everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.